Good morning. There's no sunshine in Yankee land today. It's overcast.
Cue the music.
I did cue the music. However, and I mean, I did want to sing Stevie Wonder. I know, but we have. I got enough glitches going on this morning. I don't need any more. I don't need singing.
I know. You think of the title of today's show is that old "Ain't No Sunshine Where the Yankees Play."
I mean, is everyone out there in the chat as dispirited as I am right now about the state of the Yankees?
Hey, good morning, Steve. Good morning, Lori and Karen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning, Tats.
I would say right along with Karen there. Ah!
Yes.
How's everyone else feeling? And Lori, yeah, thank you. You hang in with us every week. You know that you can count on glitches from us. It'll be my turn in a few minutes, I'm sure. But we roll. So where do you want us? Oh yeah, Steve. Well, let's. Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, Steve is saying, and so is Lori.
Yeah.
You could be a diehard Yankee fan and believe and believe and believe, and but then practical reality sets in, and you can't deny. And
right.
That's where we are. I stick for this team. I'll stick with this team through their last out. But, my expectations are gone. And numerically, they're just about gone.
Right.
Right. So.
Well, I mean, I'm sure everyone in the chat knows, but I'll just say, I mean, we're 3 games over 500. So it's hard to believe that we're 12 games back. We're 4 games out for the wild card. And this is the first time being last in August since 1992. I mean, this is we're hitting historically bad Yankee stats here, and historically bad Yankee season.
Right. And why? Why do we think that is, everybody?
Why?
We know the obvious, right? We know that the front office, always ups their ante on how dysfunctional they can be. And if you want to talk about stats, this is probably in history the most dysfunctional, inactive, non-competitive organization in Yankee history. And I'm just going to throw that down as the truth.
Yeah. I mean, since we last spoke, we split with Houston, which was, I think, the best outcome that we could have imagined, actually. But we lost 2 of 3 to the White Sox. And that can't happen. That just does not compute.
It cannot happen, but it did. And
but it did.
We are again. We have not broken our streak of rubber game Sundays, because we had a really encouraging game on Friday. We know what yesterday looked like, and so it'll be decided today. But as usual, Chris, it's not a technical glitch, but I didn't start with trivia question of the week, so. I'm going to put that up on the screen for everybody from our friend Spencer. Thank you, Spencer. I'm throwing it up in a moment.
Locked up at the moment. There we go.
Okay. So here it is. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Hopefully everyone could see it a little bit better. So, it felt like a little history repeating as Alcantara went the distance in yesterday's Marlins win over the Yankees. Some would say it echoes Josh Beckett's complete game shutout masterpiece in Game 6 of the 2003 World Series. And of course you were in attendance, Elliot. You're like Forrest Gump of baseball. You seem to be at every historical moment. I wish I had your magic. Beckett only gave up 5 hits in that game, with one Yankee getting 2. Who was the only New York Yankee to get 2 hits off of Josh Beckett 20 years ago in their World Series loss?
Wow, that's a great question.
That's a really good one. And since I don't remember what I wore yesterday,
And I haven't thought about Josh Beckett for years, and I hated that guy. He was always beating us, and he was that attitude. He had that smirk.
Yeah,
I could not stand him. But Katie Sharp had another interesting statistic up this week. She said the Yankees have trailed by multiple runs at the end of the first inning in 18 games in 23. And that's the most of any AL team. And they are 6-11 in such situations. So why are we losing? Well, we're losing in the first inning in some instances.
And I would love to know statistically, but it feels like it has to do with when we are the home team, and that first top of the first goes really south really fast, and wins are out of sales before guys even get up to the plate.
Right. And offense is at a premium this year. We can't score runs, which and that's another question we have to figure out it for 24. How can this offense be more productive? Yankees are 17-1 in games when Judge hits a home run this year.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you make of that? That the Yankees are 17-1 when Judge hits a home run. Chat, what do you think?
What do you make of that?
Well, it's definitely, the team hits for power, and they are obviously inspired by power. Judge being the leader, maybe Judge's, pounding the ball rubs off on the rest of the players.
Well, the most recent sample is Friday night, right? He got a home run, and we won without biting our fingernails. That was a very solid win. But I remember while he was on the IL, we were all so certain that the guys were only doing so poorly because he wasn't on the field,
right,
playing. And there's really not been a difference, so much of a difference. We didn't turn a corner, if I dare say.
Right. Well, this team turns a corner, but it's into a dark alley. Unfortunately. But I thought that was interesting about Judge. And also the power rankings came out this week, and the Yankees are 14th out of 30. Obviously, they're 14th. And it's a good thing Judge is hitting home runs, because since that's what this team does, since they don't hit for contact, a lot of these players, and the ones, that do hit for contact aren't hitting, are struggling,
Yeah, absolutely. And, so Spencer's saying, I caution fans whose position is throw in the towel, let's reboot for 24. So Spencer, I think we have to manage our expectations very, closely here. When you look at our standings, when you look at how far behind we are for a wild card spot, when we look at the fact that we are closer and closer to going below 500, how can we say that? And I'm one of those devout staunch, look, I'll believe in them until the last pitch. But, practical reality, now that stats have been forced down our throat, um, you know, it would take a miracle. The number of games we'd have to win, um, and we have, with the sample size we have this season of what's gone down, I honestly do feel like, we're going to have to, pray novenas or whoever we pray to make sure that they do something to rebuild better in 24. But I already don't have faith in that, just based on this past trade deadline.
No. I'm with you, Lynn. I feel that 24, I don't even feel like looking ahead to 24 for a number of reasons. But first of all, I like to watch every game. I like to root every game. I believe every game we're going to win. That doesn't mean that I believe we're going to go to the playoffs at this point. I don't. I believe that this season is going to end in September 30th or whatever. But that notwithstanding, I'm afraid to look into 24 for the same reason you just outlined. There's not going to be a change in leadership in the front office to indicate any change in philosophy in the way the Yankee team is put together and structured. I mean, they need to solve the issues of left field. Will they do that in 24? That a good question. They couldn't do it last year, wouldn't do it, couldn't or wouldn't do it at the deadline. And I'm beginning to think, do they even think there is an issue in left field? Maybe they don't mind shuffling inexperienced players in and out of that slot.
They don't think they even seem to think there's any problem at all anywhere.
No, they don't.
And that's why they are so tremendously dysfunctional and failing so poorly. So, so Karen's mentioned a couple of things that I do want to comment on because, I mean, our RISP has been awful for a few seasons now. And how can you have that next man up mentality when you can't trust the next man, or where you don't have a string of men that could be that next man up,
Right.
that is going to do something. We saw it last week. I don't remember the game because I'm only one can of soda down, but I remember tweeting that, ladies and gentlemen, is what's called next man up. But that was the only time I had seen it this season. And when we, hey, Jonna, thanks for joining. Great to see you.
Thanks for joining.
When I think about what's happened to pitching, I guess I'm on a trade deadline tear. There's a lot of us feeling like, that's not the biggest priority. The biggest priority is the left field and get some lefty hitters and etc. Did we ever think that our starting rotation would come down to Cole and Schmidt?
Right.
Yet here we are.
Yep.
And, and Cortez gone.
Yeah.
What else? Do we need to keep Cole in a cryogenic chamber and in between starts to make sure that nothing hurts him, germs him? No
kidding.
And thankfully Schmidt has been decent. And Hamilton, you know what? I give Hamilton props. I think first time and doing it 2 consecutive games wasn't a big concern. King, on the other hand, what did you think about King, Chris? What do you guys think in the chat about Hamilton and King? And are they the ones that should be the starters?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Vasquez should have just started. I don't know why the Yankees are getting cute. We're not the Rays. Just start Vasquez or Brito. I'm sorry, Brito was yesterday. Anyway, King's role, I guess he is interested in being a starter again. excited by that. Well, I'm excited when he comes in the middle innings and shuts them down. So right now, I think he should just do that. But anyway, we're stuck with Severino apparently because of just the attrition. Plus Vasquez and Brito. So the current rotation is a scary thing to contemplate.
Yeah, and what about the fact that they DFA'd Garcia?
Yeah.
Who was so surprised by that? I'd be interested to know. Our friends in the chat.
Right.
He was. I just did not see that coming. But when do I ever see what's coming in this front office anymore? But with everything going on, you DFA Garcia,
right?
And for what? For whom? You know, they should be looking in the stands to sign people at this point. So, you know, and John shared a few minutes ago, and this is so true. You know that they get over themselves and admit that they've created a disaster. The thing is, they have too much hubris for that.
Right.
And if they're the only thing that Hal has seemingly inherited from his father is that hubris. The difference is his father used that hubris, followed through on it, and proved he was right. And he took the risks, and the risks were right. And that's the difference there. Right. We're never going to get any kind of admission. Don't you remember, everybody? He's confused about our reactions all the time. So, he thinks it's us. It's not me, it's you.
I think Elliot's got an interesting statement here. Can't say I was surprised by Garcia's DFA. Kratz's remarks were illuminating. They were illuminating. It's not often that you hear ex-Yankees criticizing the organization. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
And it does. We've been watching this sort of thing with the prospects happening, where the fans feel like the prospects in the Yankee organization are not being moved along and developed at the right pace. Florial's another example.
Right. And so when are they going to get over? And by the way, Uncle Tats joins us. Hey, Uncle Tats. Good to see you there. They just DFA'd. They don't seem to be DFA shy. They just DFA'd Garcia. Why aren't they either making a decision or cut bait with Florial then? He's out of options. Right. And so that's their reason for not bringing him up. Then what is he there for? To your point about these guys just like lingering in the AAAs.
Right. Well, do you think, do people in the chat think we're going to see any of the kids now? Will we see Pereira, Peraza, Wells? Who else? Are any of the kids going to be brought up, do you think, in the coming weeks? Hopefully because that would at least add excitement. We'd want to know what they've got. What are they going to do? What do they bring? If we're not going to be going to the playoffs, let's be evaluating the talent and see what's out there.
Yeah, and that's the question. I don't know how many options each of the pitching prospects have by far. However, why aren't we taxi squatting? I know we're on the road now, but it'll be interesting to see at home if they continue with this thing about using the pen from the first inning up. Yeah, so you've already thrown in the towel because they're already on the verge of burnt, and they're going to be burnt to a crisp if they keep up with that. So are we going to start seeing some of those young kids, because of what's happening with the rotation?
Right. And Elliot's saying no. And I'm wondering, Elliot, why you take that position. I kind of think I get it. But if, give us a little bit more on that. I think that I see both sides of the question. At this point, if you bring up the kids, are you actually, is there any development that continues to go on? Will that be beneficial for them? And is it going to benefit the team in any way? So it is a good question. It does bring up a good question. Um, they're too close in the wild card to just throw in the towel. Too close. I mean, aren't they 4 games out? They're
Yes,
4 games out of the wild card. That seems like insurmountable to me. But
and we're counting
no,
on, yeah, we're counting on other teams starting to lose tremendously. Um, so I'd love to hold on to my towel. It's my favorite towel. I'm very attached to it, but and I just think, and Michael's saying they're not playing the kids because of money. Everything's because of money. And yeah, but what I would say counter to that is they've also been known to write off the money that Hal wouldn't spend at the deadline. He'd rather let continue to pay off contracts for players that we let go of, or bring on huge contracts for players we didn't need. Johnson.
Yeah, let's not go there at this point. There's too many contracts like that to count at this point. And let's not even say Donaldson is out there still in the wings. Does anybody think we'll see Donaldson again this season? I know that he's wanting to be healthy and wanting to come back. What are the chances? I mean, it's
well, I don't know how many people out there watch Big Brother, but
yeah.
the line is expect the unexpected. And I think that really applies to the Yankees these days. So, who's to say? Just when you think it's safe, he might. And so I don't know, but it has been really interesting.
Yeah.
That I haven't really seen him in batting practice or interviewed or anything of that nature. So makes me kind of wonder what conversations might be happening that we don't know about.
Right. What might be out there happening?
Yeah, Chris, I want to mention you found a great tweet during the week. And it was from Chris, New York Yankees 28. The New York Yankees' standard of excellence has declined in recent years. It used to be winning championships. Then it went to just making the playoffs. Now it has gone to just being over 500. So their complacency bar has lowered. And now that's the measure. We're like half a game or 3 innings over 500. We had a successful season.
Yeah. That is not Yankee baseball. That is not the Yankee attitude or the Yankee philosophy that any fan grew up with that I'm aware of.
It wasn't the Steinbrenner way.
No.
And I think, it's I'm just making a presumption here, but speaking for myself, that those were my formative Yankee fan years, was the Steinbrenner years. And so I compare everything to it, and the Steinbrenner years haven't ended, right? It's just the change in the first name.
Right. And everything else.
It is not the same. The evil empire was long ago destroyed.
Yeah.
And there's going to need to be, if it ever happens, if there's ever a coup d'etat in the front office, and I'm open to suggestions about that.
Oh yeah, me too.
Then it would have to be rebuilding from the ground up, and it's just a dream.
Well, what I would love to see happen is that there's like this super position created for Cashman to be promoted into, so that he's not the GM anymore. Because we know they're never going to get rid of him. He's going to be there forever. And so maybe they could at least promote him out of the position of GM, maybe make him king. make him like assistant king, and then bring in someone like Kim Eng, or however you pronounce her
Yes.
name.
Oh yes, bring that woman in.
Yeah,
and
bring in some fresh ideas to this club.
The common phrase in the workforce is, you get penalized for your competence. I'm all in on penalizing Cash. I mean, giving Cashman a new position for his incompetence.
Yeah, just move him upstairs.
Absolutely. Give him a phony baloney job. And Jonna, Chris and I were talking about this before the show. Actually, I couldn't even bear to put a cap on or a Yankee shirt on today, and that's never happened. And even if it weren't a show today, I would always wear one for a game, just like we see Spencer every game. He's always in his gear. So am I. I couldn't do it today. I settled for my little Yankee necklace with a tiny logo that you would need like a doctor's lens to see. That's because I felt guilty. So yeah, it is. It's all gone to
Unfortunately, we're at that point where
we're at that point. So Chris's audio will come back, I'm sure, but Spencer, I'm assuming you're talking about the tweet from Johnny, from that Chris had retweeted during the week. So Elliot doesn't think that way. The season may be overwhelming, but the team isn't striving to be a 500 team. So Spencer, I would say that it's not that they started out striving to be a 500 team. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. And this is how they're finishing. That now we're starting to hear things even from players in interviews that, we're playing 500 ball. And so I do see the merit of that there. It's part of their complacency mentality. It's another example of it in my mind. But I think that's what maybe striving. If you change striving to hoping, I'd be totally on board with what you're saying.
Yeah,
they better hope they stay 500. We don't need another embarrassment.
I love what Sunil says down there. It's not what you want. I loved it when Girardi would say that.
Sunil!
As far as what Elliot was saying, let me put that back up just for a minute. The season may be underwhelming, but the team isn't striving to be a 500 team. Well, that's true. Luckily, they're just over 500.
Just over 500.
Yeah. But I think that the underlying problem is Boone anything but a 500 manager? Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. We've had winning seasons behind Boone, so that's not a fair question at this point. But there is something to this team this year that they're not being held accountable, and their actions, like when they make mistakes, when the team just is sloppy on the field. It's sloppy on defense. Fundamentals have not been good. That sort of thing. They're heavily right-handed. The way this team is put together and constructed makes it a 500 team. Whether they're striving to be that or not, I think they can't help but be that.
Right. And they're just realistic and thinking this is where we are, and
it's who they are.
And that's a problem too, because we get to feel this way. They do not get to feel the way we're feeling right now. They are the ones that have to feel like they could still get there, still do it. They have to have that mentality or forget everything.
Yeah. They do not have a killer mentality on this team. There's no sharks on this team that are in the water circling, waiting to jump and devour the opportunity.
Yeah. So Sunil, I think Sunil's challenging you to a duel, Spencer. Um, yeah, I don't know, Sunil. I think most of the chat has been saying all along through the show that um, most of us are on the same page that it's going to take a miracle, and that miracle has to start 3 weeks ago. So and certainly, looking ahead to the week ahead, what kind of ground do we have a chance at gaining facing the Braves for 3 days, and then only to return home to face the Red Sox, who are now above us in the standings. There's a lot of miracles, and those miracles won't matter until we have a team that does what they need to do. And I'm also wondering what you all think about the fact that we brought on Posada for the pitchers, and we brought on Gleason for the hitting. And so,
okay, I'm back.
Hey, Chris, welcome. I was just putting a question out to the chat about Gleason and Posada, and what impact, if any, have we seen from them? And is what we've been saying this whole show representative of what we've been seeing from them?
And I know, Lynn, you wanted to talk about the women's. I want to leave you some time here. Shoot that over to you.
Yep, I'm going to do that. First, though, in case you haven't seen the starting lineup for today, let me throw it up on the screen real fast.
Yep.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, here we go. We got Bowers leading off again.
Got Judge off the field. Yeah.
Lynn and I were talking a little bit before. We wondered what the chat thinks of Judge. Should he be DHing? Should he be in right field?
Yeah. I'll answer while the chat marinates on that. I think that he really should be more DH than on the field.
Okay.
Unless we really turn that corner. I'm choking as I say that because I know whose phrase that is. But, Judge needs time. He needs time. And he's making little impact as it is. So where is that impact really happening? It's happening at the plate. So keep him at the plate and protect him from the field and extra running. I know what that means in terms of then who and Stanton and etc. But yeah, Steve, we know there's some tech issues going on from Chris, and she always comes back. And she might be frozen now.
Am I frozen?
You're present.
Okay.
Okay. So I am going to roll right along to women in baseball. So,
all right.
So everyone that follows our show knows that we promote women in baseball every opportunity we can, and right now things are happening in women in baseball with the chase for the Women's Baseball World Cup. And I just thought I would share the standings from Group A. And so think of it, it's structured in the way that we structure our divisions in our leagues. So look who's in first place.
All right.
But not by much. So nipping at their heels are Canada and Mexico, and they face Mexico today at 5:30. So, we got to hope that they win. But it's been exciting really to follow it. You can follow them you can follow the whole thing at WBSC on Twitter, and it's the same on Facebook, and that's their website there, WBSC.org. on the website, you could actually watch the play-by-plays on the website. So you'll see who's up at bat, what the result of the bat is, etc. So more to come on that. But the men just finished their USA chase, I believe. I don't have any info on that, but let's go.
Let's go.
The sisters are doing it for themselves.
Keep up the work. Good work out there.
Yep. And so we'll end with the answer to the trivia question of the week.
Sounds great.
And it's so funny because this is going to be the second time that this player's name is uttered. So those of you that came a little bit later, let me tell you real fast what the question was. So game 6 of the 2003 World Series, the Yankees versus the Marlins. Josh Beckett only gave up 5 hits in that game, with one Yankee getting 2 of them. Who was the only New York Yankee to get 2 hits off of Josh Beckett 20 years ago in the loss? And the answer is Alfonso Soriano.
Hooray! Go, Soriano.
I miss Soriano. I really do. Yep. And so, okay, Sunil got it. Good guess, Lori. And the 12U boys won the World Cup too. So the girls are going to get it too. So thanks, Jonna, for telling me. Couldn't exactly remember. So that's it. Chris?
Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe.
Join us here every week, and tell your friends, retweet. We appreciate your support. Chat, we're not a show without you. So thank you for showing up. And as always, you'll have a reserved seat with Chris and me right here on the upper deck. Go Yankees.
Go Yankees!